get a kill. But all in all, HBK leaving himself in a very positive position. Widowmine gets a kill. Sorry, not HBK. Shinobu leaving himself in a very positive position as he starts to push up the ramp. A Ghost is just about to finish up, but now it's dead. A couple bio units go to the front, but the inevitable GG comes down from HBK, and another game goes to the folks at CT6. Alright, I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. I will be no more than like 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll get into the next game. So just a sec. Alright. That was a much needed pee break. Things can certainly build up when you watch an hour 45-minute Swarm Host game. You know? Alright. What's next? 7? 7. Let's do it. Alright. Okie dokie. Getting into our next game here on King Sejong Station. Spawning in the bottom right-hand side of the map as the Forest Green Terran from Team Unseen Gaming. It is Rush. 2112. And his opponent spawning in the upper left-hand side of the map from CT6 EU, the Purple Terran. It is Chagi. You know, one thing I really appreciate about this series so far, I've cast like every matchup. It's been so different. Like, we had a PvP, we had a ZVP, we had a TVT now, and we had a TVP. Like, there's been a lot of matches, which is fun. You know, it keeps things from getting monotonous, and I appreciate that, because after an hour 45, let me tell you, things can get pretty monotonous. Interesting building placement from both players. My heart can only hope that they both go for the same stim timing, and we just get to see Stim Marines versus Stim Marines in the middle of the map. Unlikely? Yes. Awesome? Also yes. But in general, a very similar build coming from both players. We do see them both going for refineries at the same time. The barracks are going to finish up at about the same time. All in all, pretty similar. Chogi a little bit ahead on his timings, but very minimal. I mean, like, maybe half a second ahead. Nothing that's going to make a huge difference in the long run. And it is a Reaper coming down from Chogi, as well as a Reaper from his opponent. So ridiculously similar builds from both players. So far, pretty much doing the exact same thing, which isn't uncommon. I understand Terran, is pretty restricted in the number of openers they have during the current metagame. I get it, that's fair, but it is funny to watch two people do the exact same thing against each other. Well, and we do have our first little bit of descent as a reactor goes down for Chogi. That is not going down for Rush. Oh, wait, there it is. There's the reactor. All right, so Chogi just a little early on the reactor. This Reaper does catch the SCV of Chogi out and about. He does take the SCV down, but not before getting caught by his opponent's Reaper. The Reaper gets a couple shots down and tries to chase, but Rush is probably going to be able to stay away long enough to get some damage off. He's trying to kite him with the jukes, but he does take some shots while he's trying to juke. It's probably not going to be enough. If he tries to go back up here, he's going to get caught out. Looks like he's going back to the base. Now, Chogi taking an expansion. Also an expansion from his opponent. Oh, Jesus, they're doing the same freaking build. I love it. They both have factories. They both have 2 Marines and an SCV. They're literally doing the exact same build. Man. So interesting to note, one of them building the command center here to bring it over, one building the command center at the minerals. Sometimes I do understand the purpose of building a command center at home and then flying it over. It is safer against certain kinds of aggression, but I just don't see that kind of aggression happening in a TVT that you would want to build it this way. And now, let's see the factory switch happening here. Are we going to see the same factory switch happening in a minute when this tech lab finishes? Who knows? Probably. Both players getting starports. Hellions coming down for Rush that are probably going to come down in a second from his opponent. The tech lab finishes up. The barracks is just about to finish the Marines. And are we going to see the same thing? Yes, we do. No. Yes, no. Yes, no. Oh, looks like we might see the starport moving its way over to the tech lab. That would be an interesting play. Definitely an interesting change as Chogi does lift off and moves over to the tech lab. So different supply going to be coming out from him in just a second. If we look over here, there's a scan. He does see that there are Hellions and Marines out. This orbital probably going to lift up in just a second, maybe to go be a natural base? Who knows? We'll see. There's 4 Hellions out on the map. Chunk of Marines to try and take care of that. But first Raven is on the way, and some Raven pressure could do some really good stuff right now. So that will be interesting to see what happens with that. A couple more Marines are coming out for Chogi, probably going to be able to hold out any push that can move from this, and another barracks coming out. Over here we see a Reaper coming in, trying to get some intel. It does see quite a bit, but let's see how much. It doesn't see any of the production buildings, though, so it actually sees very little. I spoke before I checked. It saw very little. Now we do have a Raven coming out on the map that is both a detector and a unit with a lot of spells that could do a lot of damage. It is not doing anything. Oh, Hellion drop coming in from Rush. This is going to be fun. It's really interesting how this build has broken into 2 vastly different things at the drop of a hat. They were the exact same build, and all of a sudden, each player doing his own thing, doing vastly different things. It's very interesting. And the drop is coming in. What is this Hellion drop going to do? What kind of vision do we see from his opponent? What kind of damage is he going to do? The 4th Hellion gets on the field, but they need to start moving their way over to the SCVs. The SCVs pulled just in time. The first PDD, that's PDD, right? No, that's an auto turret. The first auto turret going down. The tank doing huge damage on the Hellions. Can the Hellions tear through enough units to make it worth it? It looks like the answer is actually yes. No. Sorry, there were way more SCVs than I thought. Fantastic hold by Chogi, making sure that Rush's Hellion drop doesn't do too much damage. And now Rush pretty far behind just because he's lost a lot of time on that. He's lost units on that. So, fantastic hold by Chogi. Rush sending the medevac back. Chagi sending his Banshee over. And is there any vision over here? No, Rush doesn't have any vision. So in response to not losing very many of his workers, Chagi is going to go take out a few workers. And without any detection for Rush, it's probably going to be pretty devastating for him. Cloak, however, is not finished yet, so there's an opportunity for Rush to scout this and to respond to it before the Cloak comes in. But it looks like Chagi's just going to ignore it? Yeah, it looks like he's just going to ignore that Cloak isn't done, and he's just going to go for it. He goes in, he starts to do some damage. He takes out 1, 2... Interesting choice for him to come in here before he has Cloak, because now he can start missile turrets, and he can do a lot of damage here. The Banshee's going to move quicker than the Marines. He's going to be able to outpace it. But now his opponent's going to start missile turrets, whereas a Cloaked Banshee could have done more damage earlier, but Cloak is just finishing up. In just a second, are these missile turrets? Yeah, missile turrets done in plenty of time. The Banshee, probably could have done more damage if Chagi had waited just a second to push it out. But it still did pretty well. I mean, he did get some kills. He got some worker kills, but he could have done a lot more if he had just waited until Cloak was finished to push in with it. But now we see army moving across. One of the great things about that push was Chagi got an opportunity to see what his opponent had and to see what kind of units he was dealing with so that he could determine whether or not he wanted to send his own. Now he knows where the units are. He gets the scan down, sees the whole army, sees that he has much more than they do, and now he's going to move in here, get a secret missile. No, he gets a auto turret down, focuses the tank. It's not enough, but the units coming up do get the tank. His first tank sieges. Rush deciding to pull his SCVs, takes all of those units out, but there is another siege tank chilling here. And Rush with the huge drop. He's bringing all of his units over to drop on top of this tank. It is enough to take out the tank. Now Rush left with tons of units that his opponent doesn't have, 44 to 25 in the army supply, and if we look over at Chagi's base, he doesn't really have ridiculous amounts of production in response. This is a huge push from Rush that could do some serious damage. There are 2 tanks. Questionable. Those tanks are going to do quite a bit, especially in the position that they're in. And the medevacs are here, but there's only one medevac healing. These other ones need to move in there so they can help out. And yeah, Rush's going to decide that that's just not worth it. Move himself out. Try not to fight it. Now, I do see an economic advantage from Chagi right now, but a huge army advantage from Rush. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of positioning Rush can pull off to make this a win. This is one of the... There were a couple games in the series I don't actually know who wins. I do know who wins, but this game I have no idea. And this whole series, though, has been really good. I mean, there's been so much back and forth from every player on both of these teams. Just so many good games. This has been a blast to watch. Just a blast. So, thanks for that, everybody. I really appreciate you guys giving me so much fun stuff to cast. Makes my job a lot easier when the games are enjoyable. Now, we had a bit of a drop over there, but it didn't really do much. Tanks will stop drops from happening pretty quickly. Move over here to check the Zelnaga, see if there's anything. Moves over here to check the third. There is no third, so a definite economic advantage from Rush as he drops his third far before his opponent does. And Chagi has more workers, but I mean, Rush has 3 bases, and if he can fill those out, he's going to put himself in a very good place compared to his opponent, especially having a bigger army right now. A little bit of heal going down on the bioforces, a little train coming across, and what I would call a hit squad. It's small enough, it's basically a hit squad. Oh, now it's just 2 units. But is he going to see this? Chagi splitting up to try and get some vision. He sees this tank and these Marines over here. He sees emptiness over here. He knows that Rush's units are massing up over on the right side of his base to try and do some damage. And what positioning is Rush going to take is the real question here. Oh, and Chagi taking down the rocks, trying to give himself a little more mobility over here. Okay, yeah, thanks to 1 HP for that awesome start. But really, oh, and we see one full medevac going down, the rest of them moving up into the main. They're going to drop down, but probably not going to get enough damage off to do real major damage. Oh, but he does get the tank sieged up, and these units are moving up the ramp and taking a lot of damage. Chogi's units, however, there's still enough of them that they take Rush out. Rush has to pull out without doing too much damage. He takes out one tech lab, but not too much else. Great response by Chogi, but a great play by Rush as well. And like I've said quite a few times, great games to watch and cast. Really enjoying it. No, as I was saying a second ago to Tomla, yeah, thanks 1 HP for that ridiculous first game, and everyone since then for really, really good games. No, the 1 HP Smithy game was fun. It was just ridiculous that I spent an hour and 45 minutes of my life on it. It was so long. But, you know, it was fun. I appreciate having a good time with StarCraft. I think that's the most important thing. You know, as serious as we take it, it's a game. And the most important thing about a game is to have fun. Now we see opposing pushes across the map. And this one looks a little bigger, but the third is going to get taken out over here. Yeah, Chogi's going to lose that. So that third's going to get taken out. And Chogi now has a decision if he's going to try and base trade or if he's going to try and move up to defend. And it looks like he's going to go for the base trade. Chogi clearly feels like he can win in a base race, so he's just going to push himself right into here. He's going to siege up his tanks and start to try and put some damage down on his opponent. Now Rush is sending units over there to fight it. Rush doesn't want a base trade situation and is going to just rest on the laurels of taking out that third and move on. So let's see what happens when the engage goes down. A couple brave Marines fighting against the full force despite having no reinforcements, not doing too much. But the tanks on the high ground getting some good shots out on Chogi's Marines. Now these tanks getting really good shots out on Rush thanks to a well-placed scan. And Rush way down in supply right now. Huge number of medevacs, but way down in supply. And yeah, I agree, Tomla. 1 HP seems like a really cool guy. From what I got from that game and what I get from the 2 or 3 times we've chatted, he seems like a pretty solid person. I appreciate him. Another big ol' hit squad coming up from Chogi, and Chogi so far ahead right now. It looks like he's going to be able to take this game, but all the ridiculous number of medevacs are moving across the map, and the way they're moving right now, they're not going to be seen. Yeah, they aren't seen. Neither of these players sees their opponent moving across the map, which means that this drop is going to hit, and it's going to hit hard. Now, there is a tank and some Marines here. Oh, and that's going to be enough to scare him off. Oh, no, it's not. He does the drop over here, and this tank is going to fire, but not before he takes out a pretty significant amount. No, oh, he pulled up, so he doesn't take out nearly as many workers as I expected. He does take a couple, goes from 16 down to 9 on minerals, and it hurts, but is it going to be enough given the huge push Chogi's doing up into his natural? These Marines moving up into the natural, taking out quite a few of those medevacs, taking out quite a few of the Marines, and the medevacs may be healing, but it's not enough to kill all of the Marines. The natural goes down, Chogi pushing huge numbers of units into his opponent's base. For a minute, looks like he's going to move out, but decides that he has enough to take it, unsieges the tanks, starts to move up to take the natural and start the contain, and it looks like Chogi has what he needs to do the damage to win this game right here. The last couple units from Rush getting torn down to only 70, 60 supply, into the 50s. Chogi pushing up into his opponent's main. There is one tank doing some damage on those bio units, but it's not going to be enough. The GG goes down from Rush, and we see a game going over to Chogi and the rest of CT6. Leaving the score 4-3, CT6 is in the lead. All right. All right. Let's get into it. Wait, who's here? Okay, that's the position that I wanted in there. 3 over there, like that. Alrighty. Getting into our next game. Spawning in the bottom left-hand side of the map, the pink Zerg from Team Unseen Gaming. It is Dark Templar. And his opponent spawning in the upper right-hand side of the map from CT6 EU, my current chat buddy, all-around nice guy and hopefully winner of this upcoming game. Yeah, I'm going to be biased because he's nice to me. It is CT6's Talitemla. Hope I said that right because I do care about you. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to be a biased caster for a second because as much as I love that Dark Templar is a Zerg whose name is Dark Templar, that is hysterical. You know, Tali has hung out and watched every single one of his teammates' games for this entire cast, despite the fact that it is ridiculously early in the morning wherever he lives, which I'm assuming is Britain because he speaks English as apparently his first language. So I'm going to extend that to UK, somewhere in the UK. Point is, he's clearly a good guy, and I wish him all the best in this match. Now, do we see a 2-Rax? It's a 2-Rax. Yeah, it's a 2-Rax. Tempo, as long as you're still in chat, where in the UK are you from, man? I have a lot of family in Sheffield and a little bit of family in Cornwall. So a big chunk of my dad's side of the family still lives in the UK. Oh, he's in Unseen Gaming and he's a Dark Templar. That's funny. That's funny. That's good. Alright, so the 2-Rax coming down from Talitemla. Gonna be enjoyable. Dude, your first language is German? Interesting. Cool. Very cool. You speak really, really good English, so I'm guessing you've learned it from like a young age. I mean, your English is very clean. That's like I marched with a lot of Dutch guys this summer, and they all have ridiculously good English because they all learn English from like 4th grade. Alright, so the first Marine moving out, and we do see a supply depot and a bunker coming out over on the side. Looks like a full wall off about to come out from Talitemla as he uses this Marine to take out... Oh, you're from Hamburg. Cool. Very cool. Home of the hamburger. It's actually true. That's, for anyone wondering, that's not a joke. That really is why a hamburger is called a hamburger. You know, everyone's all like, oh, but it's beef. Why is it called a hamburger? Well, because Hamburg, Germany. The more you know. And this bunker is going to finish up, which is very bad for Dark Templar. You never want to let the bunker finish up when you're getting 2-Raxed. The bunker finishes, a couple drones are going to die, and these drones may try and do some damage, but with repair from the SCV, as soon as that, we see Dark Templar in a very bad position. Now, the first couple of Lings are going to finish up. There's 6 Lings running across the map now, but they're not going to be able to do too terribly much against this, especially with repair going down, and 2 Marines inside. They're going to put down some huge damage, and 2 more Marines coming out, 1 more out, 2 more on the way. If they can move out and finish the Spine Crawler off in time, they're going to be able to do it. The Lings need to move out so that they can keep the Spine Crawler from dying. They're trying really hard, but with 3 Marines putting damage down, that Spine Crawler is going to take a lot. More Lings getting taken out. He moves the 4 Marines out. He almost gets the Spine Crawler, but those Lings are a little bit too much. 1 more push out, and he could take the Spine Crawler, which would be a fantastic kill for him. Dark Templar pretty much deciding that he can't win this at home. Going to send the Lings across the map to try and finish it off, but it's not going to be enough. With 5 Marines and an SCV, they're going to take down the Spine Crawler. The Lings start moving across the map, but at this point, it's probably just far too late. These Lings are going to be able to do some damage, but not the kind of damage that you want, and especially focusing the expansion, not the right thing to do with those Lings in this kind of situation. For anyone who is ever in this situation, if you choose to send your Lings across, which I do not recommend, but if you choose to send your Lings across, you want to immediately get into the main. Because if you don't, this happens. Before, there wasn't a wall at the main, and those Lings could have gone right up into the main and done some serious damage, but now there's a full wall at the main, there's enough SCVs to repair it, and those Lings aren't able to do any damage. This bunker can hang out here, it can do the damage it wants to do. There's nothing to defend up here from those Marines. Well, there is. There's this and this, and you know, there's all kinds of stuff to defend, but not enough. The Marines could do some damage. Now you can't expand, basically no matter what you do, and the Terran is in a fantastic place to move back, go for a macro game, and be way far ahead of where you are. So, if you're a Zerg, and someone proxy 2-Raxes you, first of all, just send an Overlord over there to check. It never hurts you. You know, move over to the natural, and then move to check, and then move back. But if they do finish the bunker and what have you, and you send the Lings over, go straight to the main. Try to hit the main as quickly as possible. Now we do see a Ling surround, which is going to be enough to take out the bunker. Those 4 Marines doing quite a bit of damage, but they're going to get taken out, and the Lings are going to take out the supply depot as well. And this will be interesting to see. The 2 bunkers are landing over here to start a wall off at the natural, along with a bunker that's about to go down. And the Lings are moving across the map, but are they going to move quickly, efficiently, and functionally enough to do the damage that they need to do? There are 2 more Marines coming out. Is this another barracks? No, command center. Oh, duh, that's too big to be a barracks. Who am I? So 3 barracks, all producing Marines, and these Lings going around the side to try and check for a 3rd. They see that there isn't. Oh, is this going to be a proxy hatch? Oh, come on. You know you want to. You know you want a proxy hatch. All right, the Lings do get through a little hole. Can they get us around? No, the bunker finishes just in time, and the Lings, there's enough Lings to get us around, but not if they're going to attack it from the front like that, because they won't automatically go through those holes in the wall if you A-move. And the Lings going to get taken out by that bunker. Going to get a little scared. Going to run away. If we look back at the base, there's no Bane nest either. There are 1 gas going down right now, and he's attacking these debris just because, I guess? I don't know. I actually don't know why he's doing that. I guess he's just using the Lings for something as long as they're there. So, no harm, no foul. Totally fine. Now we see the rest of the wall going down with, I assume, a supply there and a supply there to finish it up. And the command center is moving over to start the natural. And although he only has, 18 SCVs? Yeah. Although he only has 18 SCVs and his opponent has 22, Talutemla is in a very good position all around, having done the damage that he did. And now the Zerg trying to take a hatchery at the gold base. A very dangerous choice, but pretty much the only choice you have at this point in the game. When he's this far behind economically, he needs to do some crazy stuff like that. And Talutemla is just massing up Marines for what I assume is going to be a pretty big push coming up pretty soon here. And honestly, if he pushed right now, he would probably win. If we look at the unit tab, it's 10 Lings and 2 Queens to 12 Marines. And 12 Marines is a lot of Marines. It's a pretty hefty number of Marines. Plus, it's not actually 12. It's 12, 13, 14, 15, because for some reason it doesn't count units that are in bunkers as units, which is weird. Alright, so these Lings are moving over here. They're probably going to try, maybe? No, they're not even going to try to move in. Hatchery finishes up at the gold. We see the first couple of drones moving over there as a hatch is coming up at the natural, and this is a Baneling nest over here, so he's going to go for the all-in fuck-it Baneling bust push. And we will see how that works out for him once it happens. But meanwhile, we're going to look over at the Terran side where he is just pumping out Marines. More and more Marines coming. Another barracks is on the way. Factory and starport are finished. Probably a drop, I hope. I mean, I can only hope that I see some drops. Some Drop City. Drop City would be real nice. The barracks. Alright, I know that sound. That's the sound of a drop. Let's follow this across the map. Is he going to get caught up by the Lings right here? It looks like yes. If it keeps going in a straight line here, the Lings are going to see the medevac moving. But the question is how Dark Templar responds. And yes, he does see it. He starts moving the Lings back. He knows that it's going to come for his gold base, so his first reaction is to put the Lings right underneath the medevac to try and keep it from there. But the boost is slightly faster than the Lings. He's going to be able to drop behind the mineral line. But the Lings get us around on the Marines. It's not going to be enough. He needs to pick the Marines back up and start moving out of the way. Oh, and a good decision. They're dropping on the low ground to try and do some damage. But 2 Marines do get caught out. And he's using that ledge to his advantage. But the Lings ready to go on top. Good response by Dark Templar, having Lings on the low and the high ground to avoid any major damage from that drop. And Talutemla pretty much going to lose that whole drop, but he does have quite a few Marines up here that can do some serious damage. Stimpack is on the way. Factory attached to a reactor is going to start making some Widow Mines. We have more medevacs on the way, and 2 medevacs full of units going to start moving across the map. Well, I didn't mean to open that. Oh, medevacs just dropping, staying in the base. Going to prep for that. Oh, production went away. Come back, production. Alright, so there's a Spore Crawler coming down at the gold. Probably a good choice. You really don't want to drop to screw up your gold, because that's what's keeping him in this game economically right now. very, very similar mineral income from both players, but much higher gas income from the Zerg. So he has gotten his economy back. He has done a very good job coming back from that early aggression that lost him a lot. And Talatema needs to do a little bit of focus on, first of all, take 2 of these and put them over here because you're oversaturated. But more importantly, get up to full saturation at his base, maybe even get another base and get as far as he can economically, because that early aggression is not going to do too much for him if he keeps letting his opponent out macro him in this mid game. Zerg is very good at mid game with things like that, and especially 3 bases versus 1.5 bases. You're going to see a really tough late game for yourself. Now the Spire's coming up as Bane's speed finishes. There's a Roach Warren, but I'm pretty sure I haven't seen a single Roach. A big train push happening over here. There's a huge number of Banelings about to finish up, though. Oh my god, a ridiculous number of Banelings. Are the splits going to be enough? There's... Oh, not the huge amount of damage he might have wanted from that, but the Baneling's not doing too terribly much. The splits are pretty effective, but there are a few more Speed Banes. And some pretty great damage comes down from Dark Templar. Maybe not as much as he wanted, but definitely a lot of damage. Now, Talatema able to take out the Queen, but doesn't bring his units back up into his medevacs. He does a little bit too late, so he loses a little bit. And there's the third. So the third is coming down, but there's going to be a big old chunk of Ling Bling ready to take it down in just a second, which is a little bit scary. Interesting game. It's a good game. And there's the Lings coming in, trying to take out this command center. He needs to lift it before they can kill it off. And the first Muta is up. Even when it lifts off, that Muta is going to be able to do some serious damage on it. There's not any SCVs nearby to do some repair, so the 2 Mutas are probably going to be able to take out that command center, putting Talatema in a very rough position economically, especially having almost mined out his first base. We haven't even lost the first patch over for Dark Templar, so despite being very aggressive early and doing a lot of damage, Talatema seems to have fallen behind economically speaking. However, he does have a lot of Marines. Oh, he's pulling the SCVs over to natural, or just pulling them all together? Oh, there's the first little chunk of Mutalisks, but these Mutalisks want to be very careful. There's not that many of them, and 7 Mutalisks can't do too terribly much against a big old chunk of Marines. They're matching up, and they have 9. Their numbers are rising. Oh, there's a drop down here that I missed. The drop goes down, takes out quite a bit of the miners over there at the natural of Dark Templar, and he picks up before he really loses anything, and he forces his opponent to move all of his units back. So a very good catch from Talatema. However, he's going to lose that medevac, and in the process, all of the units that were inside of it. So, although he did economic damage, he did lose quite a bit in the drop, but it was certainly worth it. I mean, that sacrifice for that amount of economic damage, it's absolutely in his favor. Now we do see 2 command centers. One is moving over to become a base over here, and another one is being built. So Talatema trying to catch up on that economic growth, but we'll see what happens there, as we do see the we do see these Mutas starting to move across the map. They are going to check the gold. They see that nothing's there, and now their next goal is to move over and see if there's a third up here. They're going to see this starting to build, and although there's a bunker on the way, the bunker is not nearly finished enough. Going to be able to take out both the bunker and... No. Oh, yep, takes the bunker. All right, there we go, and he catches a huge chunk of SCVs out, but there's Marines to back it up. Is it enough Marines to take out this entire squad of Mutalisks? It looks like no. 10 Mutalisks. Good unit. These 10 Mutalisks are going to move over. They know they have enough to take out these missile turrets, so they're going to focus down one. Can they focus the other in time? No, they decide that it's not worth it. They start to move away. There's still a squad standing over here to defend against it, and Talatema doing a good job of defending his bases. The Mutas decide that they have enough to take out these Marines. They go in for the full-on fight, and they are able to take it out and start focusing. What do they do now? And then they run. Okay. Oh, because there's some pressure happening down here. And a great drop that we missed from Talatema. Sorry about that. I was watching the Mutas, but Talatema able to take out his opponent's gold base and able to take out a lot of these Mutalisks, and now are there enough units here to take out the last couple of Mutalisks? Some great hits from the Widow Mine. Now 10 kills on that Widow. And Tali Temla with a really good play all over the map. Fantastic response to the Mutalisk play at his natural in his third. And now some Lings coming, but not nearly enough to do some real damage. Ling's going to get torn through, but these Mutas are probably enough to take out these Marines. A couple Mutas go down. One more. Can he get just one more Mutalist? No, the focus fire doesn't happen. The Medevacs are going to go out, and Dark Templar does quite a bit of damage in response. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh. How is this going to go? Now there's a big ol' hit squad along with some SUVs moving across the map to try and do this very final damage. And we still have this long-distance mining happening. That's really long distance. There's long-distance mining happening, which is going to get caught up by this. Now these Mutalisks are gathering in the middle of the map, and they are going to see a little bit of the aggression. They do know that's moving. They're trying to come in from behind and get the Marines, but the Marines, the back end of the train is going to see it, so the rest of them, they're going to have to run. They just don't have what they need. And he's moving in here. Is he able to take it down? Yes, he does take down the hatchery. Ends up taking the extractor instead of focusing drones, which is an interesting choice, but certainly a functional one. When you're this far ahead, he can sort of do whatever he wants. Tali Temla putting himself in a fantastic position. He does catch this base because of the long-distance mining, takes out a huge number of drones, and takes out the hatchery with a huge squad right here that can take out this third. And being on 4 bases as a Terran who's about to take out your opponent's third when your opponent is Zerg is a fantastic position to put yourself in. Tali Temla up 116 to 59 in supply, 69 to 26 in army supply. A huge amount of minerals being floated by Dark Templar, and it looks like if these Banelings get the hits that they need, this could turn the game around. Though the Banelings pop, they get some hits down, but Tali Temla has too many units. There's so many left. GG comes down from Dark Templar, and we see a game going to Tali Temla. GG. That was fun. Which brings us into the ace match. Ace match, 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 ace match. That's hard to say so often so quickly. Anyway, speaking of ace match, spawning right here in the like 9 o'clock-ish? Yeah, the 9 o'clock position of Catalina, whatever you want to call it, from CT6 EU, the Orange Terran North Quab. His opponent spawning in the bottom right-hand side of the map around the 5 o'clock position from Unseen Gaming, the Blue Zerg Toby. Alright, pretty classic TVZ opener happening here. Supply depot to create the wall off at the main. And pretty basic play from Toby as well. So pretty much right now, since it's 3-5, I mean, it's not like anyone didn't know the score of the match. You know, it's posted on the CTL site. We all know what happened. But this does mean that CT6 EU took the week. They are currently in the semifinals of the CTL playoffs. So congratulations to them. Good night, Tom. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Great game. Great win. And he doesn't go for a full wall off. Supply depot at the ramp, but the barracks next to the CC. So interesting SimCity from the Terran. As meanwhile, we do see a drone scout moving across the map. As I was saying, so since we know who won, I'm going to set this to say BO3, and we're just going to have the who wins between Toby and North Quab excitement, because we already know with a 5-3 that CT6 EU took the match. So let's just enjoy the who wins the ace match experience, you know? Alright, so the Reaper coming out from North Quab. Meanwhile, his opponent has gone hatch first. Yeah, hatch first, and then a spawning pool. So that's not an inherently bad thing for the Zerg, but it means that this Reaper is able to do a lot more damage. There it is. So this Reaper is able to do a lot more damage. Oh, the Extractor. Oof. BM. No, it's not. But yeah, this Reaper can do a lot more damage because by the time it gets here, there's not going to be a Queen. As opposed to if you go pool first or if you go... yeah, basically pool first. By the time the Reaper hits, you should have at least one Queen, which is pretty good. But with this, the Queens are going to finish a little bit after the Reaper hits, so that Reaper does have an opportunity to do some actual economic damage if it is microed properly. And we're going to see that start off right now as he starts to get some shots out on drones. Now those drones are going to move over to the other side of the mineral line, try and take advantage of their particular placement. And is he going to take one of them out? No! Great micro coming down from Toby, avoiding letting the Reaper take out any of those units. But he is losing mining time. Oh, and there goes one of the drones. One drone does go down. And North Quab doing a great job of microing and taking a couple, just one, but taking units out. And really fantastic play. But the Queen's about to pop, and that Queen's going to be enough to take out his opponent's Reaper. Two Lings lock the Reaper in, and the Reaper goes down. The next one decides, yeah, screw that, not going to watch my buddy die, and then go try and fight. So he runs away. And although 3 drones were taken down, there was some really good micro from Toby that avoided a much worse fate for his workers. This Extractor finished, so that Extractor's hanging out, gives him pretty good vision. So now he can see what's happening here, which doesn't give him too terribly much, but it does give him, you know, bits and pieces, which is better than no vision, I suppose, and it delays his opponent's 4th gas, so, you know. There are positives to it. Now we see a bunker going down at the natural ramp of North Quab, and if we scroll on over, we see just the 4 Lings still not doing any real movement. 1 gas is down. Another set of Queens, well, 1 Queen, and the second one will pop soon. And so it looks like Toby might be trying to go for a bit more of a macro game now that he's done the damage that he's done. It'll be interesting to see if that is, in fact, what happens. But it looks like that might be what he's trying for. Now the Reaper comes back up here to try and do some more damage, sees the placement of the Queen, decides it's just not worth trying to even scout, runs away. Creep spread happens. All in all, it's a ZVT. Still full health on that Extractor. 2 Hellions coming out. Probably going to become 4 Hellions before we see the end of that production. Another command center. Command center for a wall off, turning into an orbital, probably going to turn into a 3rd expansion pretty quick because the 3rd is halfway done from the Zerg player. And now if we follow these Hellions across the map, let's see what kind of damage they can do. Those 2 Hellions did a little bit, but not too terribly much. The Reaper backing them up does help quite a bit, though. Now those Queens are caught off a creep, and the Hellions are a very fast unit, as are Reapers. 1 Queen is going to go down. There's 3 Lings to back it up, and a big chunk of Lings hatches, but Lings, not a great unit against a number of Hellions. Oh, but with this many, it probably could do some serious damage. Focusing the Creep Tumor first, the Queen comes over to try and do some damage. If she's able to take that Reaper, she'll put herself in a good place, but she is not, and 2 more Hellions meet up with the rest of North Quab's army, leaving him at 6 Hellions and a Reaper against this chunk of Lings. North Quab could do some pretty significant damage with this right now. There's not that many Lings, and there's no Lings on the way. The Queen tries to go out and take out one of the Hellions, but is not able to. And interesting choice by North Quab to focus on this hatchery instead of focusing on the Queen. I think he thinks his opponent might have more than he actually does. And the Lings are moving up here to try and do some damage. They're going to try and position themselves in a way where they can get a good surround, but with 2 more Hellions on the way, this is way too much for Toby to deal with it if there's this direct engagement. So Toby has to be very careful about his micro right now until he gets more units. And Roach Warren is on the way, which will be very good against his opponent's stuff. And by far, Toby has more workers right now, so he's got that going for him. And there's a huge number of Hellions, though. North Quab taking out most of those Lings in just 1 shot, moving up to finish off this Queen. The Queen tries to put up a fight, but it's just not enough. She's going to go down. These Hellions are going to start putting damage down on this hatchery. 1-1 is on the way, and just Ling's on the way, though. No Roaches yet. The Roach Warren isn't finished, and despite a huge number of Lings coming out, these Hellions are doing some serious damage, but they have not yet done economic damage other than just 3 Lings and this third. And the Lings get a good surround. Is it going to be enough? Oh, the Lings with a fantastic surround, taking out most of those Hellions. Toby doing a great job of holding that off, losing very minimal economy, keeps the third, loses 2 Queens, but keeping the third and only losing 3 drones to 10 Hellion aggression is pretty fantastic. Now we see a Widowmine going to try and find a opportune place to burrow and get ready to kill some people. Meanwhile, the third is down for North Quab. It is being mined from. There are a ridiculous number of barracks in his base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I thought I saw 9. Alright, yeah. Well, only 8 apparently, despite what I thought. A couple Lings are moving up here to see what he's got, but North Quab has a huge chunk of Marines and 3 Widow Mines, which is going to be more than enough to do the damage he needs to do, despite the number of Roaches that are out on the field right now. There are currently 12 Roaches, but those 12 Roaches are facing off against 16 Marines and 5 Widows. Widow Mine's good unit. There's a Marauder just hitting the field, along with a couple more Marines. North Quab building a bunker and a supply depot over here to keep his workers safe at this very dangerous third placement. And just pumping out units over here. Oh, well, supply capped. No, North Quad pumping out some units over there, getting an armory, so maybe going to be going up to some higher tech units, or maybe even just using it for upgrades. Who knows? We'll see. It'll be interesting. Big chunk of Roaches over here now for Toby that's going to start moving across the map. It'll be interesting to see what kind of damage they do. Excuse me. I've been a little sick the last few days, so I'm very sniffly and very snotty, so that's my mistake. Oh man, these Widow Mines are trying to find the best place to burrow, but Toby could have done some huge damage there if he focused those Widow Mines down, but instead the Widow Mines do survive, which poses a bit of a threat to Toby in the upcoming battles. We'll see what kind of damage they can do if they get off properly, but he could have done... He could have put himself in a very good position if he had focus fired them while they were unburrowed right there. And North Quab could have done a lot of damage if he got them burrowed right away. So a little bit of mismanagement from both players, but understandable. And now is he going to be able to focus these down? He gets all of the Widow Mines before they do any damage, moving his Roaches in. This squad is trying to fight back, but the number of Roaches is just unbelievable for Toby, doing some huge damage against his opponent. North Quab trying to micro against his opponent, but with this number of Roaches, it looks like North Quab might be taken down. The next chunk of Roaches is coming around to finish up this round. They're moving into his opponent's base. There is a bunker at the top of the ramp, though, and that's going to be enough to hold it off. But with Toby at the top of the base, sending in reinforcements, he's, if nothing else, going to be able to take out this third. Oh, and the Marines overextend just a little with the Marauders. They do try to come to the top of the ramp, but they just can't do it with the number of forces that Toby has. The mass repair going in on the command center. Oh, and the cool decision to do a medevac pickup with those SCVs to save them. That was an interesting choice. But I wonder if there is enough for North Quab to fight back if Toby full-on moves up into his base. North Quab restricted at 119 now, trying to rebuild. But a huge force from Toby moving up the ramp, taking just a couple casualties. But waiting to meet up with the rest of his buddies. Probably waiting for 2-2 to finish up. He's building a Spire in case he needs to go into that long game. Infantry weapons level 2 is finishing, but 2-2 is about to finish for the Zerg as well. However, it looks like he's content with taking out the third, and he's going to go back, rest on his economic laurels, and try and push this out into an outplayed macro game. So great job by Toby pushing his opponent into the position that he's now in. Now there is a command center going down at the safer third up here, but the question is whether or not that late third and the amount of time he lost is going to be enough to beat his opponent in a macro game. Now we do see the army of Toby moving across the map. They do see this medevac moving. They might want to respond to that to avoid getting dropped on, but the medevac is a little scared too. Decides to keep moving in anyway, though, but great Ling placement over here. Going to be able to get us around. The Marines don't quite overextend. It looked like they were going to, but they end up not overextending, which was a good decision by North Quab, and now this tank placement is pretty good. Oh, and the drop is taking out 6, 7, 8, taking out quite a few workers. Now Link's trying to flood in to fight it, but there weren't quite enough. They're able to pick up, and they're going to move toward the main. And what kind of damage can he do over here in the main? The drop goes down, and it starts to focus down workers, and we're up to the double digits of dead workers in this push. Now Lings are flooding in, but they're coming just a bit at a time. They're able to get taken down as the roaches move into the base. We're hitting 16 destroyed workers. Huge economic hit for Toby to take. Great drop by North Quab. Alrighty. My mic cut out for a minute. That was really weird. I was like, yeah, and it was like there was no little bar on my microphone meter, so sorry about that. But nothing really happened. I was just... Alright, must see what augment's finishing, and infantry 3. So that's interesting. 3-3 about to finish up for this Bioforce, and just barely 2-2 for Toby. So that's a very good advantage to North Quab if you can take a proper engagement. One of the scary things about upgrades is, as good as they are, if you take a bad place engagement, especially with the Roach Hydra, they can still tear through your army with a good enough concave. So it's going to be very important for North Quab to make sure that he can do the damage he needs with those upgrades. Meanwhile, he gets a drop over here, tries to focus down the hatchery. Is it going to be enough for the Pulse Snipe? It's looking like yes. Roaches aren't quite there yet. He just needs a couple more hits before they kill his units. Yes, he gets the snipe. He picks up. Only one Hydra is there to fight it. Fantastic drop and fantastic pressure from North Quab, as his big army over here seems to be starting to move. He has 2 more command centers, probably just going to turn them into orbitals for all the assorted things that orbitals can do. One of them is going to turn into a base here, but that's not going to happen because creep. And now it's going to happen because the creep is gone. Good creep spread from Toby, but it can only do so much. And if we look at the banks right now, North Quab has a pretty sizable bank to remax, especially with a bio army. Definitely a better remax potential from Toby because, you know, usually Zerg do, and he has a bigger gas bank. So, good opportunity for Toby to remax if this engagement doesn't go exactly how he wants. And North Quab needs to be careful about making sure he takes the right engagement and gets enough damage off of it that he can either win the game or hold off the counterattack. Because inevitably Toby will remax and get a counterattack. With 3k, 2k in a Roach Hydra army, he's going to be able to remax. So it's very important for North Quab to make sure he takes good engagements here. Now we do see a drop coming across the map, trying to snipe this hatchery, but the units are very close at hand. A little bit of a delayed response, however, and if these units focus on the hatchery, they might be able to take it down, but it's not quite enough. The medevac goes down. The spine crawler doesn't get the kill. That's sad. Hatchery took a lot of damage, but doesn't quite die. Meanwhile, the drop over here also doesn't really do... I think it took out that hatchery. I don't know if there was a hatch there, though, so I don't want to speak too soon. Oh, and the banelings. The banelings, though. There's a sensor tower that's going to see there's something coming in, but he's uncertain what's coming in. He's looking over here to try and deal with this fight over here, and he sees the army coming in, and he has to focus on this, but he's a little too focused on this. He needs to pay attention to the banelings coming into his base right now, and as the banelings move in, this is the majority of North Quab's income. 4 banelings take out a huge chunk of those workers. Fantastic awareness by Toby. Fantastic placement. Really just a fantastic play. He gets the scan down. North Quab sees what's happening over there. That took out 12 workers. A really great play by Toby to push those banelings over there while this engagement was happening. Meanwhile, this one Zergling is just going to be like, no, you suck, Command Center. I hate you. Just going to try and do what it can. Now this army of North Quab is moving across the map, starting to take out creep one tumor at a time. He knows exactly where this army is, he knows exactly where the positioning is, and he knows exactly what he needs to do. But Toby is responding by spreading his army out to come in from all sides. And now this fantastic multi-directional attack from Toby, doing some huge damage, but North Quab did have a group of units up here that's going to be able to hold it off, or so it seems. It comes down to the last little chunks of each of their armies, and Toby is not remaxing during this fight. North Quab going to finish it out with a far bigger army, putting North Quab in a very good position now moving forward. It's going to be interesting to see what he's able to do coming off of this. A huge number of drones going down now. We do see Burrow coming, and this hit squad is trying to defend these banelings at all costs. If these banelings can just finish up and take out these marines, they'll be able to do some huge damage, but the roaches might not be able to hold on long enough. A single swarm host going to send some locusts across. The banelings finish up. They are on creep. They do not have speed, but is it enough? Can the splits come out in time? He avoids the marauders, but there's just enough damage to take him out. The banelings do not do damage, and it's 45-177. The GG comes down from Toby, and game 1 goes to North Quab. All right, moving on to game 2 of that series. Alright, going into our next game, spawning in the upper right-hand side of the map from Team CT6 EU, the Orange Terran currently sitting 1-0 in this best-of-3 ace match. It is North Quab. And his opponent, spawning in the bottom left-hand side of the map from Unseen Gaming, the Blue Zerg Toby. Last game was a pretty close game between the both of these guys. Went on for quite a while with some great trades going from both sides. But in the end, North Quab took it with some great management of his units in the final battle. So, really good micromanagement, really good macro behind it. North Quab doing what he needed to do. Both clearly very, very talented players, though. Some great stuff happening last game. And to be fair, it is a Diamond Ace match, so I would expect nothing less than good play. But we're talking some really good play. It was great to watch. And so, coming in here now, if you're watching this on the VODs, obviously you're watching them one at a time, so you may not have seen that match, so I'm just giving a little heads up for anyone who might be watching this match separately. Alright, so we see pretty much the same opener as last game coming from North Quab, going for the 12 racks and the 12 refinery. Meanwhile, the same drone scout from his opponent, the same hatch first, the same everything. Both of these guys going with builds that they're comfortable with, rather than focusing on builds that, they figure no reason to try and trick him, no reason to try and do something different than I did last game. Just use the tried and true, do what I'm comfortable with, which is fair, totally understandable, and in many cases, the best way to play. Sometimes it seems like, it's a BO3, it's a BO5, I gotta, he's going to think I'm going to do this, so I should go 6 pool instead of macro game, because he'll expect macro and he'll go CC first or whatever. But sometimes just doing what you're best at is more important than trying to meta your opponent. Sometimes the best thing to do is just know there's a build you're really good at and play it, even at this level of play. I mean, of course, when you're playing like professional, like top GM level, then you need to be a little more aware that your opponent's going to respond to your usual. But at this level, just being really good at something is the best way to be good at something. And for anybody who might be in gold or lower, I myself am gold top. I'm pretty much going to be plat in the next couple days. I just need to play more ladder. My record is like 70-50 right now. I'm winning consistently enough. It's inevitable, but the point is, anyone gold and under, to get up in the world and to move up, the best advice I've gotten is that exactly. Pick something you're good at and get really good at it. It's easy to try and learn all kinds of different builds for different situations and respond, but the fact is, the opponents you're playing in these leagues, if you can just get good at your mechanics, specifically your macro mechanics for your particular race, and if you can get good at macro and you can get more stuff than your opponent, you're very likely to be winning games on ladder. And it's what the folks over at SC2 Tutorials refer to as the More Stuff Leagues, where pretty much from bronze through gold through mid-plat, all you have to do is get more things. Comp doesn't matter as much, micro doesn't matter as much, just get more things and you're going to move up in the world. And then once you get to mid-plat to diamond, you need to start learning counters and all that kind of jazz. And obviously it's very important to know counters in gold, because sometimes you get in very late game and you got to respond, but you shouldn't base all of your play off of counters. You know, it's more important to just learn mechanics, learn how to macro, learn how to fight. And yeah, so it's my little rant for the evening. Meanwhile, we do see a third CC already coming out from North Quad, very similar to last game. Yep, there's the double. So Hellions coming out, 2 Reapers moving across the map to see what he's dealing with, and oh, is he going to see the third coming out? He does not. He does not. Stops just a little short. He's not going to notice that the third is going down, but he's over here. We see an Evo Chamber coming down, and these Reapers, 2 Reapers can take down a Queen if they're microed properly, but 2 Queens, not so much. Not quite so much. Now the first 2 Hellions moving across the map. There are 2 more Hellions on the way, and the CC's just about to finish up, so we're going to see both players going on to even bases, which is bad for the Zerg player. As a Zerg, you basically always want to be 1 base ahead of your opponent. Now the first Queen is going down. Is he going to be able to take the second one before his opponent gets a solid number of units on the map? There is a Roach Warren on the way, but there's really nothing else. There's 3 Zerglings, and so when these Hellions get over, there's an opportunity for North Quad to do some pretty significant damage if he pushes before the Roaches hatch, which it looks like he's going to be able to. So North Quad with an opportunity here. Let's see if it's an opportunity that he takes. +1 attack is on the way for the Zerg. And cloaking and a Banshee on the way. That's different than last game. That's an interesting decision. Now that Queen trying to fight those Hellions, but it just seems like North Quad is a little scared. It just seems like he's unsure. He's unsure of what his opponent has. You can't really see much. He's unsure of what his opponent has, and he just doesn't want to risk it. And so another Hellion's coming. He might push after this, but then there's going to be 3 Roaches. So push a little earlier could have done some serious economic damage. But even so, we'll see what happens when he does get there. Now this orbital basically just being used for orbital purposes. Doesn't seem to be being used as a base yet. Doesn't seem like he's going to use it as a base, I should say. Obviously, it's not a base yet. And now he's putting some damage down over here on this third hatchery. Is it going to be enough, though? Those 3 Roaches did pop. And Hellion's tearing right through most of those Lings, but are the Hellions enough? It looks like he doesn't think so. Not with 2 Queens and 3 Roaches. He's going to move back and meet up with some of his buddies. Cloak is almost finished, and that Banshee is going to be able to do some serious damage once it's able to cloak. Another Banshee on the way, some Hellions moving across the map. A couple more Roaches may have finished up, but Roaches don't shoot up, and that is scary for anybody. He also doesn't really have vision right now. He has an Overseer on the way, but if the Cloak comes down, he's going to be able to do some huge economic damage. North Quad going to be able to take out only 2. Okay, not as bad as it could have been. Does take out 2 drones before he gets caught out, and he could do some damage to this third while the Queens are stuck over here. Now the Roaches are going to catch these Hellions out, and Roaches are a very good unit against Hellions. They're going to push them away. Hellions aren't ready for it. They're going to run, but there's more on the way along with another Banshee. And if we look at the unit counter right now, 11 Hellions against 6 Roaches and 4 Queens. With a couple Marines to back that up, which are already on the way, there could be some serious damage that comes out of another push from North Quad, but he needs to time it right, and he needs to position it really well, because this early in the game, with a countered unit from Toby, North Quad has the numbers, but he doesn't have the composition. And this is a high enough lead that if he doesn't micro really well, he could lose everything. So his third is now moving on to go fulfill its dreams of being a third base, as opposed to just hanging out. Oh, and the Hellions turning to Hellbats. Big number of Hellbats now, especially compared to his opponent. Now his opponent has 2/2/2 on the way. No, that's 2/2 and speed, right? No, it's Hydra. Okay, it's Hydra attack range. Sorry. The coloring looks really weird. I'm used to it being lighter in the middle than that. Weird. Regardless, we see full saturation at all 3 bases now for the Zerg against very little saturation at the third of the Terran. So full for the Terran player against his opponent's totally finished up saturation. So that certainly puts him in a good place. But Toby losing that Overlord puts him in a supply cap for a minute, and he has Overlords on the way, but that'll be a quick second that he's not going to be able to produce more units, which in a game as close as this is definitely rough to deal with. Vehicle weapons almost done, and Hydra range almost finished. This is mech. Yeah, this is mech, okay. Sorry, when Hellions are Hellbats, they look like bio units, so for a second I was like, I'm uncertain what to call this, but no, they're Hellbats, so they're mech. Now we do see a hatchery coming out over here. These Hellions are going to check for it, though, and they're going to catch it out. Probably going to force a cancel on this unless they decide to go straight past it, which they do not. They come back. Burrow's about to finish up, turning into Hellbats, and bam, the damage starts to go down on the hatchery. Is it going to be enough to finish it up? The Roaches move over and start doing some damage, but the Hellbats focus it down. Yes, they do have enough to finish it. The Roaches clear up the Hellbats, but not before losing the hatchery. Northquab just about to finish saturating his base, does take out another Overlord, supply capping his opponent, who does not have Overlords on the way. There are 10 Hydras about to pop, but after those Hydras, Toby can't build anything until he gets more Overlords, which is a little bit scary. I have 2-2 attacks just finishing up for the Zerg with +2 plating, right? Yeah. Terran, no, that's weapons. So Terran ship weapons, just about to finish up, and these burrowed Roaches starting to move across the map. Here's the big question. If we look at the vision of his opponent, there's a little shadow action happening, but is he going to see it in time? These Roaches could do some huge damage if he doesn't catch it, but he should be able to see those shadows, but he doesn't, and the Roaches pop up right in the middle of his army. The unsieged tanks are not able to do too much, but it looks like there's enough for Northquab to clear this up in the meantime. Fantastic play by Toby, but not quite enough to clear up the army, putting Northquab a little bit ahead, producing as quickly as he can, building those 2 CCs just like he did last game, putting a sensor tower out, very similar to last game, and Toby definitely has a little bit to be afraid of after that engagement. That went very well for Northquab, despite being caught off guard without siege. This really could go a lot of directions. Oh, that's a missile turret. I just assumed it was a sensor because it was a sensor last game. Sorry. That's a missile turret. Alright, so 2 CCs about to go down. Now this army is moving across for Toby, but is the army going to be big enough to fend off his opponent? The army supply is favoring Northquab by quite a lot. This is very dependent on positioning, very dependent on how the fight goes. Oh, and Northquab moving his units over to there. If Toby can move around here, he should be able to push through this planetary and maybe get a snipe on that Nexus before the units can get over, but he needs to do it very quickly. But no, the scan goes down. Northquab, aware of his opponent's positioning now, can move his units into a better place to defend whichever base they happen to attack. And Northquab just putting down great scans there. Great placement, and it's all thanks to this little sensor tower right here, just catching the tail end of a group of units. And Northquab gonna not take that, decides it's not his best positioning. Probably a good choice because it was definitely not his best positioning by any means. Now Toby gonna focus these down so he can get a little bit more mobility, which is a really good choice. He should be able to sneak behind his opponent if he takes advantage of that, but he doesn't have the vision to check if it's right. Northquab gonna start focusing some of this creep, trying to hold his opponent out for just a little bit longer. But with fully maxed armies, we may see a quick fight coming pretty soon here. The siege goes down from the tanks. They're going to start focusing on this hatch. They take out the queen. They start to push the hatchery along with all of their Banshee friends and all of these Hellbats. Really great kill there for Toby, or for Northquab. Toby does send a little hit squad of Roaches over, but he has detection, and so it just tears right through it. And the rest of the army tries to come in bidirectionally, but Northquab's tanks just go right through Toby's units, dropping him down to 140. Toby may build units back to 175, but even then, there's a big supply advantage to Northquab. Northquab putting himself in a great place, going to put some vision down from his Raven and, you know, just take out some creep. And, oh, a good surround by Toby, but looks like it's not going to be enough. And that move command took a little longer than it needed to. Even then, there just weren't the units that Toby needed to take out his opponent. The GG goes down. North Quab takes the series. GG. All right, everybody. Well, that is the last game of the series. Thank you so much to everybody who decided to join. Thanks for coming to watch. It was a blast. Everyone who played, I had a really good time watching your games and casting them, and it's been real. So thanks so much for letting me do something I love doing. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you had a good old time, make sure you hit that follow button. VODs will be up on the CTL page and YouTube within the next 2 days. And I look forward to the next match that I get to cast. Thanks a ton, guys. Have a good one, and I'll see you soon.